Hello and welcome to Sarah's Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be decorating this wooden box, and I'm going to be using some of the products from the Painted Floral collection from Prima. So these three sets of transfers we'll be using. These are the rub-on transfer sheets from the Painted Floral collection, and I really like how bright the colours are, so we'll be using them later. So when I'm decorating something like this, the first thing that I like to do is just remove any of this kind of hardware, because it really helps when you're painting not to have to kind of paint around all this and then you get a bit of paint on and it's really annoying. It's much easier just to remove it and then you can pop it back on when you're finished. So I think these kind of things are really nice to decorate, either to store your own stuff so you could do it with your own decor in mind, or to give as gifts, because plain wooden boxes tend to be fairly inexpensive, but really nice kind of like jewellery boxes and things do tend to be pretty expensive. So if you can create your own from plain wooden boxes, then I think it's much more cost efficient. So I've removed all the hardware from the front and now I'm just removing the hinges from the back. So then the first thing that I'm going to do is mix some water and some of this grey acrylic paint. So most people do this with white acrylic paint. I'm only doing it with grey because that's an inexpensive paint that I've got on hand, and it's just going to serve a base layer, and I'm going to be using dark colours to paint it with, so it won't matter that it is grey as opposed to white. Obviously if you're using a light colour to paint it with, you don't want a grey base coat. So I'm just mixing that with some water to create a kind of first layer wash. I'm going to add a bit more water to that. I've got a really thin wash layer now. And I'm just going to cover the box with it. And this just kind of helps prime the wood a bit. So you can see I'm literally just kind of like covering it. I'm not paying any special attention to it. I'm just doing it really quickly. I'm just making sure it's all covered. So while that's just drying, I'm going to mix up the colour that I want to use for properly painting my box. So I'm using this navy blue Ceramcoat acrylic paint. I'm going to mix in some of this neutral grey De La Rowney one, which is what I just used for the wash. I'm just going to mix those together and kind of get an idea of what colour I'm coming up with, and then I'll just adjust it how I want it. So I don't want it quite as bright as the navy actually is, so I want to try and kind of get some grey in there to grey it off a little bit. So let's try a bit of that and see how it's looking. I think I might try a bit more grey in there. Yeah, I think I prefer that slightly greyed off version. I think that will look nice with the colours that I've got here as well. So then I'm going to start adding this onto my box. So you can see I'm kind of like bracing my hand inside the box so that I can paint the outside without getting my fingerprints all over the wet paint. So then I'm going to leave that to dry upside down, and then I'm going to do the same with this top piece. I'm going to brace my fingers inside so that I can do all around it. Then I can just dry that as well. So now that this is nearly dry, I'm going to just paint the inside of this. And I'm actually really pleased with the coverage that this paint's giving. I don't think I'm even going to need to do a second coat. I think I'm happy with just one coat. So then I've got this stencil, which is this Moroccan screen stencil from Polkadoodles. And I've also got this copper shine gilding polish. It's a cosmic shimmer one. I'm going to take the bit that you get in the top, and I'm going to use that to go through this. And I'm also just going to rub along the edges a bit with this. And I'm going to put a bit more onto the bottom as well. Now I'll do some more once that's dried. So then this is dry now. So I've cut out the transfers that I want to use. So I want to put this one along the top here. And I'm going to use the lollipop stick that came with it to transfer that onto my box. I'm making sure to go over all of it. You can actually kind of see, I don't know how well it will show up on camera, when it's transferred through it kind of goes lighter. And I think that actually I probably should have left it for a bit longer, because you can see actually my gilding polish wasn't actually properly dry, so some of it's kind of stuck on here, so the transfer hasn't come off. But actually I quite like that it's a little bit distressed around the edges. So I'm going to add this butterfly down here. And then I'm going to add this one on just here. And then I also want to put this one on the front. And I think that I kind of want it to go like that, so that it goes across the top and the bottom. So I just need to make sure that this actually is the front. It's actually the back. So now that that's done, I'm going to screw all the hardware back on. And some people don't really like this kind of more distressed look that we've got with the gold, so then you could just as easily make one with just the transfers and just leave off the gilding polish. So I'm just putting this over here to make sure that the catch goes in the right place, because I can't see exactly where the holes were from before I painted it. So then just to finish it off, I'm going to add some of these gems. So I've placed them where I want them already, because I like to set them out first to make sure I'm happy with the placement. And there's my finished project. I really hope that you like it. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking like below. You can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future projects. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got new videos available. All of the products that I've used for today's video are listed in the description below, and there's also a link there to my blog where you can find a picture supply list if that makes it easier to find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.